So to be honest, I was feeling a little stuck on the truck lately, and I really wanted to start working on the dash of the LUV, but I didn't know how I wanted it to look. I didn't know what to make it out of. I really wanted it to be carbon or fiberglass to remain light. But as I was looking through one of our warehouses here at Do Soul Designs, I ran across these old side skirts from a GT500 and thought, man, if nobody's gonna use these or if they're broken, I'm gonna try to make a dash out of them. So I grabbed them out of the warehouse. You can see they're a little scratched up, a little dirty, but it has this great shape to it. And I think that if I cut these down, I think that this could be the dash panel to cover from the bar up to where the dash used to connect to right there. I don't know if it's gonna work out. I don't know how much work it's gonna be, but I figured I would show you guys turning this piece of trash into a really cool carbon dash. All right, so I got it cleaned up, and as you can see, it's not in terrible condition. It has scratches, but like I said, I think they'll buff out, or I can sand it down and re-clear it. But I'm gonna get to making some marks on the primary cuts to get this thing a little narrower, just to where I can kind of mess with it and see where it'll fit around the cage bars the best. Now, if I was a professional, I would be wearing long sleeves to cut carbon fiber, but I'm not a professional. So I got the lines all marked up for the primary cuts. Got a little cutoff wheel right here, and so I'm gonna just take it along, cut this nice and pretty, and then I can get to fitting it better with probably just a little grinder and kind of eyeballing all the measurements. All right, so I got it narrow enough to just sit down in there, and it's just resting on the cage on each side. So I'm gonna go out and mark where I think the cage will end up landing, so where it'll just sit down nice and flush on each side, and this edge will start to be able to move down along with this edge towards the roll cage. I got them marked out, the initial drawing, and then where I think it'll end up. I actually don't think it'll end up here. I think it'll end up more up here, but I just want to see if this is the general shape that I need. So I got these both marked up on each side. Now I'm gonna go grind these out and cut this back side out more so that it doesn't hit the firewall in any place. All right, it's starting to fit up how I want it. Now I'm just gonna go and trim more and more off of right here until it gets down to where I need to trim this right here to follow along with this edge. But it's looking really good. So I'm gonna need to trim out these right here for it to sit down over these steering column mounts. Along with, I need to trim up here on some areas to where it doesn't hit the cowl of the truck. So just working away, but it's really starting to look cool. Like, I can just picture it now. I really like the look of this. So I got it all fitting in there, put the dash in, put the steering wheel on, and it looks so freaking good. There is a little gap in between the dash bar and it, but you can't really tell unless you're way down here, which that's okay. And then as far as this gap goes, I'm about to make an aluminum panel that just fits. It runs across this line, going all the way across, and fits into here, hides everything, and I can mount it that way. I think that I'm gonna end up trying to Zeus it. I might trim this a little bit more in here, just so it's easier to pop in and out. I'm gonna mess with it with the dash on, because I'd like to hide all of the electronics under here, or at least something, but I think it's looking pretty good. So now that I know that the dash fits and it looks good and I like it a lot, I'm gonna start figuring out how I'm gonna fix it to the dash bar. And I think that I'm gonna end up doing a couple of Zeuses, one right here, one over here, and then one maybe right here in the middle, because then it's pretty sound like the corners right up here fit under there, so there won't be a ton of movement on that side. But I'm gonna mark out where I want the two lower Zeuses, and then figure out where I need to tack those Zeus tabs to the dash bar. And then after that, I think that I can start moving on to that little fill panel on top, then it should be pretty much dang done. So I'm so excited about how just smoothly this is going, knock on wood. But I'm loving every minute of this. So I got the bottom Zeus's and tabs all mocked up. I'm gonna drill these holes out and rivet these Zeus's on, and then probably mark this, see where I need to bend it to where it'll end up on the cage, and then tack those on. And then I'll figure out where the center line of this is. I'm assuming that it's probably right in the middle of here. So I'm gonna have to end up doing it around right here, and then do that third Zeus right there. But I like the contrast of the silver on the carbon. I think it looks cool. Even though you won't be able to see it, I still think it looks nice. It's the little details that matter. All right, so I got the dash all in there and the Zeus tabs all welded in, and now I'm gonna go ahead and start on this filler piece that will butt up against this crease and go into here. Then I'll probably end up, like I said, putting another Zeus tab somewhere in the middle right there to hold up the middle, which is kind of, I mean, for the most part, this thing is solid. But Chris is also working on the brake lines right now, which is a totally another video that might come out before this one, might come out after, I don't know yet. So I'm gonna get ahead to measuring this up and grabbing a piece of aluminum and kind of just starting to mock up how this is gonna look. So this is the initial piece that I'm gonna keep trimming down to where it'll all flow smoothly and butt right up against where the window is. But yeah, super thin stuff. So this is just a little filler panel. You don't really need anything thicker. So I got the trim panel pretty much mocked in. I'm gonna end up trimming it around right here, same on that side, and then doing the pinch on weather stripping along this edge to fill in this gap and just make it look kind of good and make it not rattle super bad. But also got that Zeus in, but I'm really pleased with how this thing turned out. I don't know what I'm gonna do on this yet. I might end up flocking it, or I might leave it aluminum. Not 100% sure, but I am so excited that this thing finally has a dash in it that like looks really cool. And the fact that I don't have that much money in it is the best part. Just finding something that I thought looked cool. I even told Mike, I was like, I think this would be a cool dash. And he's like, really? Like a rocker? Or like a side skirt? I was like, yeah. And even he was like, it's cool that this is a repurposed part that ended up looking like it was made for this specific application. So I couldn't be happier with it. I'm gonna go ahead and use this edge trim to run it along this kind of like seam and try to get it to fill this gap a little bit and also make this not rattle by pressing up against here. So it's just normal edge trim that I bought from O'Reilly's. Pretty simple, pretty nice, gloss black, it just pinches on. So I'll show you guys how that looks right after. All right, so it's hard to tell, but I got this black trim in and it looks great. The dash actually looks complete at this point. And so the final thing after this is really just gluing the aluminum piece down to the carbon, but I'm gonna wait on that. I'm going to sand the carbon down and re-clear it, and then probably brush or paint the aluminum part, and then end up gluing it afterwards. But that'll be a completely different video if it even goes into a video. But I hope you guys like this dash, because after a couple of days, fits good, it looks super sick, and I couldn't be happier with it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me turning a piece of trash basically into my new carbon fiber dash for my mid-engine LUV truck. If you guys wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, commenting what you want to see more of, and go follow me on Instagram. I would really appreciate it, and be on the lookout for a ton of more content from this truck. I'm about to get the sod of transaxle, which will be super cool, but there's just a ton more to do before it is even anywhere close to ready. But I will be documenting the whole process, so hope you guys enjoy.